What it do, Dream Team? It's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video. We're back with our guy Tristan Coon. 10 weird things about Australia / Australians. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Oh, you got Tristan.
What's good, y'all? Tristan here, and today we're going to be going over 10 weird things about Australians and Australia. I've been here for almost 1 year now, and as much as I love it here, I do have to say that there are a couple things that Australians do that, I don't know, Americans and maybe other people just find a little bit odd. So the first weird thing about Australians is the mullet. I don't know who the f decided to bring the mullet back in style, but dude, come on Australia, did y'all not learn from the 80s? No one has ever looked at someone with the mullet and gone, damn, that's a good haircut. If you're not a gun-toting, polyamorous, homosexual with like 200 plus pet tigers or I don't know, something else crazy exotic like that, like the mullet is not for you. Number 2.
I don't know. I gotta say, you know what I'm saying? The goat of country music, Captain Morgan Wallen, when he was rocking the mullet, bro, it was fire. It was a fire mullet. So based off that alone, I can't diss the mullet like that.
Or I don't know, something else crazy exotic like that, like the mullet is not for you. Number 2, shoeies. So, if you don't know what a shoey is, a shoey is kind of like a beer bong in America. You take an entire beer, you pour it in your shoe, and you chug it out of your shoe. I'm not saying all Australians are doing this. It's kind of like the American beer bong, like, you know, a younger crowd, college kids. Here it's kind of like college bogans, like that group. They like to do it. I've seen a couple of them do it, and a lot of them have tried to get me to do it. It's kind of nasty, and I don't want a wet shoe. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've done nasty drinking things too, but I don't know. Shoey, you gotta admit, it's kind of a little bit weird. Number 3. And
I ain't doing no shoey. That's one, I don't know where, Australia, I don't know where y'all, who came up with that and how it caught on, but drinking beer out of a shoe it's a no-go.
That is, the word footy refers to 2 different sports depending where you are in Australia. So
really?
3 really common sports in Australia are, there's Australian football, there's rugby league, and there's rugby union. When I was in Melbourne, everyone was talking about footy referring to Australian football. It's like slang for Australian football. Yet then I came up to Cairns and everyone's like, oh yo, footy season's about to start. And I'm like, whoa, wait, like, isn't it already started? And they're like, oh no, like, no, not Australian football, like not AFL, like rugby league. And I'm like, what? Like footy means rugby league? So yeah, so I don't know where the line is, but up in the north part, like in Cairns, it means rugby league, and when you're down south in Melbourne, it means footy. Alright, the 4th weird thing
I always thought it meant AFL. Wow, that's something new I've learned.
Australia is that vaping with nicotine is illegal here. So let me explain why that's kind of weird. So, first of all, vaping is not illegal here. You're allowed to vape, but you just cannot vape with nicotine. The reason for it is because they have a law that says you can't sell anything with nicotine in it that's not like cigarettes, tobacco, whatnot, or a quitting aid. And for some reason, vaping's not considered a quitting aid, even though, like, hundreds of thousands of people have quit smoking through vaping. I'm not saying vaping is healthier or better or anything like that, but pretty much all studies do say that it is better than smoking, or at least equal to smoking. Nothing to my knowledge has come out saying that it's worse. The next thing that I think is really weird about Australia is you guys get so much damn time off for a stupid horse race. Sorry, I probably shouldn't call it stupid. It's a big, cool horse race. Like, if for you Americans, we have like the Kentucky Derby. It's a really big horse race. Like, there's the Melbourne Cup is a really, like huge, like one of the biggest horse races in the world, and it takes place here in Australia. Anyways, this like 3-minute horse race is, I don't know, somehow justifies an entire public holiday. You get the whole day off from work. If you are working, then you get paid a time and a half, and that's like not even the start to the craziness. So I was coaching gymnastics, and I was in Melbourne when this happened, and all the kids that I was coaching, they did not just get, well, it landed on a Tuesday. They did not just get that Tuesday off. They also got that Monday off of school, and a couple of them, and some of the private school kids, they also got the Friday before. So every single kid had 4 days off of school at least, and some had 5. The Super Bowl is like one of, if not the like biggest, like most watched sporting event in the world, and we don't even get a public holiday or time off work for that. Not hating on the fact that y'all get time off. To be fair, I'm honestly kind of just jealous, but nevertheless, it is a little bit weird.
That's crazy, yeah. That's different. You get time off. Like, it's that huge out there that like kids get out of school and people get companies let employees that day off because that horse race is that big. That's crazy.
Alright, the next one is not that strange, but I personally found this kind of weird when coming here, and that is every single one of your outlets has like an on-off switch, so you can like turn the electricity to the outlet on or off.
I feel like it's strange that we don't have that. I feel like that's not a strange thing to have. That seems like a logical thing to have. It makes much more sense. I feel like it's strange that America doesn't have an on-off switch.
I don't really get this because, like, if you want to turn something off, you usually just, like, turn it off. Like, if you have a lamp plugged in, you turn the lamp off, and then if you didn't want to, like, hit the switch to turn it off, then you can, like, unplug it is another way to turn it off. But if you're in Australia, there's also a third way to turn it off if you want. You can go to the little outlet and switch it off. Yeah. For some reason, a lot of Australians like to turn things off by turning the power to the switch off, which I don't know. Like, is there an advantage to that? I really don't know any sort of advantage there is to doing that. The only thing that I can really think of is, like, maybe if you have, like, a baby or little kid and you don't want them, like, accidentally electrocuting themselves by, like, sticking a knife in there, yeah, then that's like a good benefit of it. But, like, aside for that, which is like a very rare case, I don't know. I don't see the use of having all the switches. But yeah,
I feel like though that if they're smart enough to, or if they're dumb enough, I guess I don't know, to put the knife in the outlet, they probably figured out how to. They could probably figure out how to turn the outlet on. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, you could just baby-proof everything anyway, so they're not able to do that.
Legally have to have them here in Australia. All right, now the seventh weird thing about Australia is that voting here is mandatory. Like, if you don't vote, you get fined. In America and in most other, like, Western democratic governments, voting is like a freedom, like a right. However, in Australia, I think it's kind of more of like an obligation. The fines aren't crazy expensive. Like, I don't know, it's difference between, like, if it's a state election, I think, or a national election. I don't know the details. I've heard 20, I've heard 55, I've heard 100. But either way, I think it's kind of crazy that you like can get fined to not vote, because so, like, in America and a lot of other countries, there is a problem with people not voting. So I get why you would do that. However, in Australia, like, Australians also complain that you have a bunch of, like, dumbasses voting that, like, don't know anything about politics and they just vote so they don't get fined. I think if this was in America, like, we already have a bunch of, like, idiots, like, voting. We don't need all idiots being forced to vote. I don't know. I can't really say if it's better or worse, but I will say I think it's a little bit weird. Another thing that is really
I think that's better. I think that's better. If you have everyone, if you don't want to vote, you're getting forced to vote, like, or you're gonna pay a fine. But yeah, I mean, as long as, like, companies and all that agree with the law, like, get a person time off and the ability to go out and vote. But I mean, you should vote, and maybe if you're forced to vote, it may make you learn more about the people that are running.
Really weird about Australia is their McDonald's are run by, like, children. So what is pretty much the minimum wage in Australia. It varies, like, based upon how old you are. As you get older, the minimum wage goes up from the time you're, like, I don't know, I think you can start working here like 14, 15, something like that. And once you're like 19, 20, around that age, then you hit, like, the maximum minimum wage. So because McDonald's is really cheap and always tries cutting costs, they only hire you if you're, like, under 18. Then if you're working there and you turn 19, if you're not already a manager, you're gonna get fired. Or they're at least gonna cut your hours back until, like, you're pretty much fired. So I actually met an Australian McDonald's manager, and he was only 18, and he said him and all, like, he was like a shift manager, and, like, him and, like, the managers above him, they're all between the ages of 18 and 22. Even though 18 to 22 is very young to be managing that many people, I forgot to say this earlier, but I really wanted to mention this, is I think it's excellent. Like, I think this is such a great thing about Australia. Like, even though it's unusual, it's excellent, because how many other jobs, how many other places can you have, like, can you get that type of management experience at such a young age? In my video where I talk about weird things about America...
But that's wild. Of course you're going to try to find a way to cut costs. That's McDonald's for you.
Americans in America. One thing I mentioned is that we use ranch on freaking everything. Like, we put ranch everywhere. And
I hate it.
That is weird about America.
I hate it, but that's such a fact about America. My God, bro. People will dip anything in ranch.
But something that is also weird about Australia, they kind of have something that's very similar, and that is aioli. I don't even know if we have aioli in America. Like, if we do, it's kind of like ranch here. Like, you'll have it, but you don't really use it. But, dude, I tell you, in Australia, they put aioli on freaking everything. It's definitely not as common as ranches in America, but it's still on, like, a lot of stuff, and you can always get it on the side of pretty much anything. All right, before I tell you about the last weird thing about Australia, I got a little, like, bonus weird tip for you. So this is, like, super specific, but it has total American vibes. Like, yes, it's weird, but this is, like, American weird. This isn't, like, Australian weird. But that is, if you go to a grocery store here, like Kohl's and Woolies, I've noticed this at both, like, everything looks like it's discounted. They got little discounted things on, like, 75% of the products. But it took me a long time to realize this. Some of them are yellow and some are, like, red and white. The yellow ones are, like, actual discounts. All the ones with red ticket prices aren't really on sale. What the ticket price will say, so there'll be like a little price, and then there'll be a ticket on it, and it'll have a higher price, and then have a line through it and have the new price. And then if you look really, really closely, you'll see there'll be like a date. And that date might be 6 months ago, it might be a year ago, it might be 2 years ago. Doesn't matter when, it just means that the price, like that date on there, the price was higher on that date. It could literally be 10 cents cheaper, they'll still have that little sticker on there. So long story short, if something doesn't have like a, oh, like sale, like good price, like buy now type of thing on it, pretty much what it's saying is this product is the highest it's ever been. But it does work. Like that is like total like American capitalism, like the way we like put like tax on the top of everything, and I don't know, then there's tip, and like you always try getting more money out of people. This little trick is a total way to make you think that you're getting a deal when you're really not. It's definitely tricked me. I'm like, oh, sale, yes, and then it's not a sale. As I'm filming this, someone just rode right by me on a bicycle, and it reminded me another weird thing about Australia, but I've talked about this, so I won't add too much to it, but you legally, like it's illegal to ride a bike with I don't know. I think that's kind of weird. But anyways, let's move on. The 10th weird thing about Australia is you do not need to be wearing shoes or a shirt to get into most stores here. Pretty much every store in America will have a sign that says like no shoes, no shirt, no service. Well, that's not the case here. Whether you're in a Target or a Kmart, which is kind of like a Walmart, or even grocery shopping, like you don't need shoes, you don't need shirt. You can even, like, heck, you can go in like a bikini if you want. It is like total Australia.
Really?
Like, I don't know. You can't even really get mad at it. Australia is not the only country that has a couple of weird things about it. My country, America, has so many weird things about it. So if you want to know 20 weird things about America, check out that video right over there. Thank you all so much for watching. Peace out, y'all.
I like Tristan in these videos, and some of these were weird. I'm like, what? But some of them weren't. They seem more logical. But that's all we got. You guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. It's your boy D-Neil. Out.